Hello. So, today, someone asked me, well, what if the officers are being charged, why is Black Lives Matter still protesting? Shouldn't they be happy? The answer is no. The answer is no. The answer is no. Just because they do one thing moderately correctly doesn't mean you should let off slack. It means that you should clamp down harder. Because here's the reality, okay? The reality is that riots are the voice of the unheard. And at the end of the day, what happened to George Floyd was awful and should not be forgiven, even no matter what they do. But on top of that, bare minimum, what should happen during all of this is, at the absolute bare minimum, the least that people should accept is reform. Not specific action, but actual reform. Because the only way that George Floyd and everyone else that has passed away due to police brutality, the only way they will have not have died in vain is if there is reform that holds the police accountable for their actions. And this is the bare minimum. I'm talking like the bottom, like the least expectation. I'm talking the least that is even moderately acceptable, and even then isn't even acceptable. I'm talking having two charges for two different levels of police brutality. I'm talking the bottom tier being police brutality resulting in injury, which should result in the officer or officers involved paying a fine at the minimum of the amount that it costs to pay off the victim's medical bills. And on top of that, there should also be a police brutality resulting in death. Should get them life in prison. Minimum. It should be minimum. These two laws that need to be on the books in the Constitution, no less. They need to be amendments. Needs to be a police accountability amendment with those two rules attached. And that's minimum. That's minimum. There is so much more that they need to do. So much more. Go look up what's it called? Movement Zero, or the demands of Black Lives Matter, the original demands of Black Lives Matter, what they were looking for. And you'll see what needs to happen. It's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. And as long as it takes for police to be held accountable in this country is not great. But that's only the first problem in this country. There's so many problems. But the only way that Black Lives Matter should ever stop protesting is if they get what they're going for. If it dies down, it will have made these deaths meaningless in the eyes of those who are in power. It cannot be allowed to happen. George Floyd should not die in vain. There is no reason to allow it to be so. People need to be loud, and people need to get louder as time goes on.